Welcome to the She Force Show. I am your host, Amy Carlson. I have a fabulous guest today. This is Amy Woods, and she is a woman's transformational and business coach. Amy, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. We got the two Amy's today.
That's right. You get double
The
double
double
Amy
dose.
today. So there are so many things that I know we could talk about because you have had a very interesting life and a very interesting journey.
Yes.
And yet, the thing we're going to talk about today, which is also very interesting, is, and I love the title you gave it, The Truth About Clarity.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. There's a lot of hidden truths that come to it, and it's usually not what people think.
I have been using that same phrase lately. It's not what we think.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like the tip of the iceberg is what we think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We think clarity means that, I know for me anyway, when I was starting out, I thought clarity meant, in my business anyway, that I had to know everything that was coming. I had to know what the outcome was going to be. I had to know the strategy. I had to know exactly what to do, when to do it, and how. And I thought by having that, that's what that would give me all the answers, that would bring in all the results. Still, it didn't.
Yeah.
So when people say you can have any strategy will work, it's up to you to make it work, or it's your mindset that makes it work. It's the truth. And we'll get a little bit more into that here in just a second about um, what that meant for me.
So before we hit the record button, we were talking about these cycles that we go through, where
Mm,
sometimes we feel like it's not a cycle, like we're going to be stuck there.
yeah.
And you mentioned that since the beginning of 2024, you had this, would you call it a questioning or?
I had to get really honest with myself. Yeah. Um, because, when we're first starting out, and I've only been in business for 4 years, and when I started, I never owned a business. I had, success in real estate, but it was underneath the direction of somebody else still. And so I had no clue about business and what it entailed. And, we were in the pandemic and everything was online. So to really get out and network and connect with other people, it was it was a no-go. So I had to figure out my path there. And I had to get over my own crap, you know. So as you know, I chose a coach that I knew would get me through that. Um, and leading up to 2024, I had been in business for almost 4 years, and I was like, what is going on? Why can I not move past this point? I'm doing all the strategies, I'm doing all the connections, and I've got an audience, and I've all of that. I just couldn't make sales. And I had made a few, but not enough to sustain a business the way I wanted to. So I had to take a pause, and I did. I paused for about a month or so, and I really dove deep into being honest with myself. And what that looked like was, how do I spend my time? How many breaks do I take because I'm at home? How many times do I walk away from my office because I'm at home? How often do I learn something that I don't know because I'm just trying and trying and trying one thing? Where am I not expanding myself? What's my money look like? I had to visit my money, and nobody likes to do that.
That's about like stepping on the scale, right? It's
Yeah, right. It's a
these
number.
numbers. Yeah. Yeah.
But avoiding it made me realize, once I started getting honest, it made me realize that each pattern went together. So, like, I had my best months when I woke up, I didn't sit around for 2 hours. I got straight to work. I was productive all day. I made time for myself. also, back last summer, every time I went on a mini trip or went camping, I made sales as soon as I left. That's not a coincidence. So, I was looking at all these different patterns throughout the last couple years, and my biggest thing that I found was I was trying to make it so complicated that I wasn't allowing easiness to come in. And a lot of people don't understand that when we're making it more complicated, it's a control issue. We have to be in control of it. We have to have this in control. We are the ones that have to go out and promote and, you know, be in control of what other people's emotions are about how we're promoting, or, be in control of how we respond to it. And then we're, shifting and, we're trying to make it perfect and all of this other stuff. And that blocks all the clarity. So, not many people, for the listeners, me and Amy, we were a part of a, I guess, mini retreat this spring together. And after I come back, um, it was a lot of work to do the retreat, but I got it done. And I was just like, there was a lot to do with this. How was I able to get this done, create this massive project, and come back, you know, being able to pay for it and being able to take the trip and, feel good about it and connect and all those different things? How was I able to do that? And it's because I allowed it to be simple. You know, I I just allowed it to automatically happen. I didn't have to be in control, somebody else was. So I looked at that and I was just like, how can I apply this here? And ever since, I've been, just instead of needing my speaking performance to be perfected and what I would talk about, I've just been talking with people and applying and talking to people on their podcast. I mean, I'm not all dressed up. I don't have to be, you know.
Right.
I didn't worry about that. I mean, I made sure I had a little bit of makeup on, but I didn't show up in glamour, to a podcast. I just booked it, said, I want to talk with you because I like talking with you. And it's simple. It's so simple. And since then, I have booked over 10 podcasts and I've got 3 speaking engagements that are in the works. I have a major masterclass that I'm in with Alina Cordone, and I've applied to 20 other speaking events that will come around in the fall. I'm allowing it to be easy,
Yeah.
and that was the clarity for me. And now I'm automating stuff so that way it's just happening and it doesn't have to be perfect. I get to look at it, shift it a little bit, change or tweak it, and then allow it just to run. I don't have to be in control of it. So when I do this, though, that's when everything relaxes. That's when money doesn't feel like I'm bleeding out. That's when my relationships are better because I'm spending time in my relationships. I've had more self care time and I'm not working 10-hour, 12-hour days. I work 4 days a week, 4 hours a day, and
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. So simple. I'm hearing a couple different things, and I feel like I want to write this down too, so I don't forget. Um, you were saying, now this is just my interpretation. I want to hear if
No,
this
yeah,
is how
go
you
for it.
feel too, if I was hearing this the way you were intending it. So control can block clarity.
Yes,
That's fascinating. And when I think of
yes,
it in those terms, because I love clarity, I feel like so many of us, like, that's what we really want
yeah,
in so many ways. We want clarity. So if control blocks clarity, and then you were talking about simple versus complex. And so here's another one I'm feeling like control breeds complexity.
it does. Because if you think about it, okay, let's in layman's or 5-year-old terms,
Yeah.
for the listeners, say there's a tornado coming. You can't control what's going to happen. It's
Yeah.
gonna, you can't control the outcome. But if you're trying to, and there's a tornado coming right at your house, and you're trying to gather all your stuff, you're trying to fit everything into the basement, you're in chaos. You are in utter chaos. And instead of protecting yourself and just simply going to your hideout and not feel like you can control what's going to be damaged, you're going to end up, I mean, things are going to happen in life. And, I'm not saying this last 6 months has been easy. We have, health issues going on in my life and stuff like that, but I can't control it. So instead of making my life chaotic, I simplify it with the little stuff that matters. And what matters is your life. So when a tornado's coming, go hide, protect your life. Don't try to protect everything around you and control a tornado. That's like ridiculous. Because you can always have a new home. And much like business, you can always find a new strategy. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can try it, find clarity in that strategy just by allowing it to work instead of trying to control all the little pieces every day, because you waste a lot of time doing that. And when I was looking at my time, management, a lot of my time was spent looking at all my content, making sure it was perfect, making sure it was layered perfectly, making sure it was for this personality, that personality. And I would spend a whole day on it all the time. Nobody was seeing it though. And
Yeah.
that's where, just get it out there and see where it lands. It doesn't have to be perfect. And that's where you're going to find your answers at.
Absolutely. So I'm thinking of, like a takeaway here, because my brain likes to find ways to put the information together so that I can remember it and then apply it.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
thinking of all of these C words that you spoke of:
Ah,
control,
chaos.
complexity, chaos.
Yeah.
So there can be kind of like, and then you mentioned tornado. So I'm thinking of like a red flag. Like we could have an awareness about when we sense those things, when we sense that we are doing one of those things around control,
Yeah.
um, or any of the other C words, we could at least just start with an awareness, like, oh, yeah, I'm doing that thing.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And the truth in that, and that you have to be honest with yourself, and that's probably the hardest part that breaks you free. Um, because nobody wants to admit that all this work we've done, it's just not working, or all the work we've done, all the strategies we've put together, the books we've written, the podcasts, the content, the pictures, the graphics, everything that you do in your business, we don't like to look at it as this isn't going to work. But what's not working about it, that's where you have to get honest with yourself. Um, for me, the moment I allowed my content strategy to be easy was the moment I started getting conversations and getting likes and getting, DMs, and I didn't have to overcomplicate it. I just went through what results do I feel my audience wants to have, and I would talk about it, much like on a podcast here. We're talking about the truths and clarity. We didn't plan this conversation at all. We're just talking. It's simple, it's easy.
yep, yeah, I agree. And I know you used this word at one point too, and this popped into my head as one of those things that I have definitely done to slow my progress or totally stall my progress is perfectionism, which I feel is pretty related to control. And
Yeah,
when you're talking
absolutely.
about simplicity, I feel like there's also something in there about like letting it be simple, letting it be natural, like as you were describing how you were going about some of these things in your business. It just, okay, the next natural step, the next logical step. I don't have to overthink this.
Right. Yeah, if you chew on a gristle, it's still going to be a gristle. So when you think too hard about something, it's going to be hard. And if you think easy, it's going to be so much easier. If you just like, if you want to apply for speaking jobs, go on LinkedIn and hashtag call for speakers and start applying. You don't know where it's going to take you. And you're going to open up so much more clarity about, okay, these are the kind of events, that I can speak at. These are the kind of people, this is the kind of audience, because you see what other people are calling for. And you don't know that until you put yourself out there. You don't understand what stories they're wanting to hear until you put yourself out there. You don't know what kind of training they're wanting for their audience until you put yourself out there. And the only way to find out is just by keeping it simple and applying. And I thought about that and I was just like, well, how can I do that in my business? So I'm like, there's so many tools out there to help you with that, to automate, to make it evergreen, to, have that back end. Sorry, my dog's barking. I have a dog, everybody. Sorry. She's talking to somebody.
And the dog is so cute.
But when you apply that to business strategies, why have a 6-layer funnel? That is so much maintenance. And then it makes you feel like you do have to have it perfect. So I started setting up an automation. I use one topic for a certain amount of time, put it out there. People comment, they get what they want. I check in on them. They get an email sequence that's automated. I follow up with them. And after 6 weeks, if they're not signed with me, fine, we'll stay connected. But it's so simple. And I don't have to be on all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and my strategies now are only 3 layer. They're not 7.
Nice. Well, it all feels lighter. Like just when you talk about it, and that makes me think too, like for our audience, when we feel heavy about something, if we're willing to use your word, which I love, which can be so hard, when we're willing to be honest with
Yeah.
ourselves and understand, where that heaviness is coming from or that energy drain or whatever it is,
Yeah.
um, then we can find the answers. Otherwise, we run around and skirt the issue and point our fingers in other places.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this to anyone else. I'm laughing at myself because
Oh, I
I've watched myself do it over and over.
yeah, same here. And one thing I want to add, with the energy of it, when something's feeling heavy, it usually means there's something there you need to deal with. What is that control about? What is that perfectionism about? Where does that, how does it feel when you're in that control pattern? Is it anxious or is it anger or is it, you know, just feeling of being lost or not worthy enough? And that was something that was really hard for me to get honest with. It wasn't so much the strategies that was hard to get money or to get honest with. It was what was the meaning behind why am I making this so complicated? What am I blocking and stopping myself from? And it was more or less, do I deserve this because of my history? Or do I really know what I'm talking about? How I have no formal training, so is it like, do I really know what I'm talking about? So I went back through a lot of my testimonials and stuff like that, and I really looked back at some stuff. And even with testimonials, when you're first getting testimonials, it's like a lack of clarity there of why people are saying this stuff. It's like, what? you know, and you still think, no, I'm not doing a good enough job. you know, yeah. So if it feels good when you get that, that means you've got some clarity. That means that it's just a powerful inner knowing that makes it all light. It's like, okay, this is going to turn out how it turns out. I don't have no say so in how it turns out. I can't control algorithms and, people's, wants and needs and stuff like that. So if we did, we'd all be billionaires. So I like how you said about the energy of it though. And usually there's an energy there when we're trying so hard to make things take off and wanting clarity. And it's almost like a desperation of, I need this to get clear. I need this to not be stuck. I need this to do this. And you're attaching that energy to everything you do and trying to control it. So instead, when you let it go and you release it and you bring in the good energy and the light energy and you start having fun and you're having fun in your life and with your friends and all this stuff that you're supposed to be having fun doing, it changes things and you see it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you attract different things, don't you?
You do. You absolutely do. Yes. Yeah. I've attracted the most amazing people this year. And I've gotten to connect with people that I've known for years and like you in person. And it's humbling. We have this amazing space that we get to make these amazing relationships with people all over the world, and it's so awesome, and I'm so grateful for it.
Ah, yes. I love that spirit in you. You have so much gratitude. And a couple of things as we bring this full circle. One, I was gleaning from listening to you that one of the things that you're calling in is more speaking engagements. So I would love to hear a little bit about what you're calling in. And then if there's
Okay.
anything you want to kind of wrap things up with that you just a little nugget that you would love for people to take away that is something that kind of helps guide your clarity and your light.
Okay, yeah. So with speaking, my big picture, my big, hairy, scary picture that I'm wanting to develop an event that tours nationally. So in order to do that, I have to start speaking on stages and getting myself known and stuff. And I really want it to be like an amazing experience for women to connect and get empowerment from, see their leadership in their life, be able to make choices with confidence and change any circumstance that they want to change. And as you know, my story, I've changed I mean, I was at the lowest of low. So if I can do it, I know other people can change their circumstances. And I want to show people that. And then with that, I'm going to create my own themed event, to tour and have speakers and, maybe go around the world with, and just keep, bringing in new speakers to speak on. But that's where I'm going with that. And I'm having so much fun developing everything. It's so fun.
There's your clarity
um,
because you're having so much fun.
yes, yes, I'm having so much fun. Is it scary? Yeah, a little bit. But once that clarity came in, it like I don't know, the fear just kind of went away. And the scary part is will it work? And will my investment come back? And will people get something from it? It's a different kind of fear. It's not a fear of this is going to fail, this is going to do this. I hope it does fail a couple times because then I learn, and I know that's counterproductive, but that's how you learn and you learn faster and you get to continue moving forward. But one of my things that I say quite often and I live by is the only way how life is being lived changes is when we change how we are living our own life, because the world is in chaos right now because of all the control going on out there. And that is the truth. You can't change outside circumstances. We only all can change what's happening in our own life. So when it's brought together, it's harmonious. It's peace. You can't control what other people do. And you cannot control other people's choices. You can't control, the violence or the scary stuff, and you can't control the inhumanity, but you can control how your surroundings are, where you put yourself at, and where, what you're going to do with your own life. And I look at it in that way because if I'm not serving people or serving other women to give them a better choice and a better life and be able to change their circumstances, then I'm not living in my purpose. So that's what keeps me grounded, and knowing, the more people we connect with in this way and create that kind of circumstance, the more the world's going to change. So that's the goal, or that's the mission I'm on.
Yay. Well,
Yeah.
Amy, thanks so much for being on the show today, for sharing this truth about clarity and what's been going on lately, where you're headed, and
Yeah.
these little gems to consider and to be honest with ourselves about.
Yes. That's the number one thing. You have to be radically honest with yourself.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. And what you were just saying there ties right into how I end the show with saying, know yourself, be yourself, and free yourself.
Ooh, that's
Thank
so good.
you.
Thank you.